New Jersey Coalition, New Jersey Tea Party Coalition's weekly public affairs program. We're picking up our conversation with Andy Sullivan, where we left off. Andy's joined us this evening. Andy's with bluecollar.com.
Blue Collar Corner.
bluecollarcorner.com, thank you. And where you can read about his 9/11 awareness tour. And we were talking about the mosque at Ground Zero, and you can just, Andy, I know you've got your finger on the pulse. What's happening now with that mosque?
Well, right now, for all intents and purposes, it's a dead project. I mean, as a matter of fact, he's doing work on the building right now. He's actually bringing the building up to code as we speak.
Is it the developer, Gamal?
Yeah,
Okay.
Sharif Al-Gamal from Soho Realty.
Okay.
He's the developer. He's starting to get the building up to code. Now, if I was knocking down a building, I would not be bringing it up to code.
Interesting.
You
Okay,
know?
great.
It makes no sense. And even though he says the project is still very much alive, what I think they're just going to renovate the place and just leave the shell as is and just maybe cosmetically fix up the interior.
Okay.
And to just keep it as it is,
Okay.
which I really don't have a problem with,
Right,
you know.
right.
So
Well, that would be great.
yeah,
That
you
would
know,
be-
instead of this gigantic spear shooting up into the sky, looming down at Ground Zero, I don't know.
So maybe there's our voices, right?
Yeah.
You would organize one of those marches, and we were there.
That's true. When I got the
Right.
construction workers together
Mhm.
to do my 9/11 hard hat pledge, we called it.
Right.
It was the guys getting together and just saying, we will not work on that building at that location.
So,
And before you know it was like everything stopped right in its tracks.
see, and so people say, you can't, one person doesn't make a difference, but in this case, I think Andy really did.
And not only that, I don't think the media has been giving us our credit, because this is a victory for the people.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, this is where the will of the people came into play, and we fought City Hall, and we won.
Absolutely.
And believe me, our very powerful, very rich mayor does not like that.
Which is interesting. So, that's a great segue into, we talked about a little bit about Shariah, because people think, well, it's Tea Party, why would you be, interested in talking about the mosque? But really one of the reasons is because Shariah is being introduced into American society, right?
Yeah, a lot of people calling it a great, gigantic Trojan horse.
It is, and for those folks who don't know what Shariah is, it's their law, right?
It's an Islamic law, correct.
Right, and I think their Islamic meaning is the way, meaning, so it's
The path to water.
Right, is that what it is?
Yeah,
okay.
the path to water.
So it really it embodies every single aspect of a Muslim's life, from politics to religion to...
From the second you open up your eye till you put that head down to your pillow at night. It regulates your whole entire existence.
Right, that and the Hadith, so it's all spelled out in those two books, right?
Three books, the Quran, the Sunnah, and the Hadiths.
Oh, Sunnah, I know about that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've gotten an Irish Catholic guy.
And I'm just some dumb construction guy.
Oh, no, it's great. The 3 books. So when you're looking at this, obviously we won then. If he's just bringing his building up to code, that is awesome. So that's big news.
I don't want to put up the mission accomplished banner, right? But it is a great sign.
Right.
But at any time, Saudi Arabia could come in with a big treasure chest full of money,
right, so we have
and
to
change the whole game. So we got to maintain this.
Absolutely, absolutely. But the other piece of this is when we talked about Mayor Bloomberg being heavily involved in pushing this forward. One of the, we thought, well, why on earth would he ever want to,
Why would he support such an insultful, hurtful project?
Exactly, and insult the families of the 9/11 victims and bring this to New York. But then Mayor Bloomberg is doing some interesting things on the other side, right, of his business interests.
Well, as we were talking about Sharia, he just started his Sharia Islamic financial platform. And Sharia financing is going to be the next big thing in finance. It is supposed to completely dominate the world.
Right.
They don't charge interest.
Right.
They don't deal with pornography or alcohol or pork or risky investments, which we paid for very dearly.
Yes.
And the banks themselves stay within the community and reinvest within the community. Now, on the surface, these all sound like very wonderful things, right? Except for the one part where they talk about charities, or what they call zakat. And zakat is when they take their monies and they start funneling it to certain groups. Where are those groups? Where are they using that financing? And a lot of people say it's going to these very radical front groups.
Right.
You know, very much like the Holy Foundation, the Holy Land Foundation.
Right.
And that's what we're afraid of.
Sure, sure. So it's, you know, it's against the Constitution, first of all. It violates, you know, Sharia.
You're introducing, when you introduce Sharia into the American way of life, I feel it's a complete affront on our Constitution.
Absolutely.
Everything Sharia embodies is counter to our Constitution, without a doubt.
And two, because people don't realize this, but in the Muslim faith, according to the Sharia law, if there's two people walking down the street, one's a Muslim and one is not, the person who's not the Muslim has to step aside. And that's really symbolic. They believe that Islam is here and the rest of us are down here.
That's correct.
Right? There is no equality.
No.
Right?
Not in it from an interfaith, no.
No, no. And they call people of the book, the Catholics and Jewish people.
They're called demis. Like sub-creatures, sub-citizens.
Yeah, so there's...
We have to pay a tax so they'll tolerate us.
Right, and the tax keeps going up if you want to practice your religion.
That's right. That's right.
So, yeah, so it's antithetical to the United States Constitution and to what we really believe, so that's why...
To freedom.
Right, absolutely,
Yeah.
Tea Party. So what did you think about Bin Laden's capture and
I tell you,
assassination?
the first reaction was complete elation.
Right.
I mean, was I jumping around like some maniac, you know, up and down, an idiot in my underwear in my house? Yes, I was.
Yeah.
I'm guilty.
Right.
But you know what? After a few days go by and the details start to come out, not only do they come out, they start to keep on changing and metamorphosizing into something completely different than what we were originally told by our president.
I know, it was really odd, wasn't it? At first he was, his wife was standing in front of him and he used her as a human shield, right?
And then he was armed, then he wasn't armed.
Armed.
And he was in bed, and he was standing behind a door. I couldn't keep up with all of the different stories.
I know. So, I mean, you give our armed services such credit, you know, and this is their operation.
How do you not love those guys? How do you not love? We are nothing without our military. I mean, God bless those guys. I want to hug and I want to renovate that house.
Right.
You know, I mean, those guys are the best.
Absolutely. No, they're great. But, you know, someone was saying that it's really indicative of the reason why the details were all varying and they were changing is because the White House wanted to take credit. Under normal procedure, you would have someone from the military who would be giving the details of the reporters and the American people, and that didn't happen this time,
No.
right?
Not at all.
So that could explain why, you know...
Well, you know, our president was suffering some bad numbers due to a very soft and declining economy, skyrocketing gas prices, and a past foreign policy that just shows him as a very indecisive, dithering, sort of spineless creature.
Mm-hmm.
So this was his, or he thought, his coming out party,
Right.
where he's this great, decisive leader who knew the right call. And, you know, do I have to, you know, I'm tired of people calling it a gutsy call, you know.
Right.
It was the call. You're the president.
Right.
You know, you took that job.
Right.
You're supposed to make calls like this,
Right.
you know. And it was our military that executed the dirty work. So.
Yeah. So it's really interesting to see. So, you know, when we look back at, you know, the Sharia and the compliance, I mean, people don't realize that this is integrated. We could talk a little bit about how it's integrated into the top echelons of our government that we have, imams, right, who are giving guidance to our government, to our military on Sharia.
Our State Department. Our State Department has become like this puppet to these Islamic leaders. I mean, we're sending these guys around the Arab world on our dime, and they're telling us how to behave with Muslims. Just like Obama actually consulted, before the operation went down, he consulted with imams on what to do with the body, and with the most delicate way possible, how to perform the burial rites.
Yeah,
Do you know what?
did you think
I got
about
a problem
that?
with that.
Yeah.
I got a serious problem with that, because I got people I loved that were incinerated on that day, and they didn't have that option to have their burial rites carried out. You know? And as far as photos, I want to see the photos. Okay?
But do you think that that's, you know, there's such mistrust now of the government? You know, you're hearing so many people, mainstream people, are saying, you know, I really want to see that photo.
Yeah.
Right?
I got no problem looking at a photo of that. Hey, if I could see Snooki in a hot tub, I could see a picture of Bin Laden with his head blown apart.
I know, and it's our choice. If you want to see it, you can, and if you don't,
Exactly.
Look,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, absolutely. But one of the things that I've been reading about with was interesting. Did you see the photograph that they showed of the war room, so to speak, with the whole cabinet there, supposedly watching the screen, what was going on? Do you know the background on that, right?
Well, tell me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hillary had her hand over her mouth.
Right.
Well, after Leon Panetta, and we were all led to believe that they were watching the operation live, and you could see the president was in his golf outfit
Yeah.
with a windbreaker, Air Force windbreaker on. So we were led to believe that that was the live operation they were watching. Well, Leon Panetta came out a day later and said no, that the cameras weren't working. There was absolutely no video.
I can't believe that.
Yeah, and then Hillary said, well, she was yawn. She had a sneezing because she was allergic.
Yeah,
so that's why
okay.
she covered her mouth.
She was allergic to gunfire.
Yeah, and then someone else said they actually took Obama off the golf course. That's why he was in his golf attire. And this happened, and he didn't sign off on it.
Exactly.
So that's the other, whether or not we'll ever know if that's the case.
Will we ever know the real story?
Right, absolutely.
But listen, he's off. As long as he's off the face of the earth, a great evil has been extinguished. But it doesn't. This is not closure. I'm tired of people talking about closure. This is the first step in a long, long wrongs that need to be righted.
Absolutely. In fact, you're heading down. Can you tell us something about your trip down to Tennessee, right?
Yeah, in Tennessee, in Murfreesboro, they're trying to combat this 53,000 square foot Islamic cultural center, basically a mosque.
53,000 square feet. Now, how many Muslims are there in?
There's under a couple of hundred families there. Meanwhile, they managed to get several $100,000 in financing. And of these Islamic families, they're all middle-class people. You know, they own like coffee shops, stationaries. So where's all this funding coming from?
Right, and where are the congregants? I mean, why would
Where are all these worshipers coming
Right,
from?
right.
You know, people fear that they're setting up this massive footprint in Murfreesboro to actually draw a huge Islamic population to the area.
Wow. And you said also, you were telling me in the break that Alaska has a...
Oh yeah, they're fighting a mosque in Alaska right now.
Wow. Do you know what in the area it is?
Oh, I don't know the details
Yeah,
on that one,
okay.
but I did get word from you know, the coalitions that I work
Right,
with.
right. So and people don't realize the financing for these mosques, right? Comes from...
It's done very slickly. You know, they hide behind the whole freedom of religion thing, and they also hide away from the IRS, and then they hide because of the authorities. You can't investigate where a church or where a temple does with their funding, where it comes from, where it goes. You know, so they're smart enough to know, you know, how to utilize the system against us.
Wow, that's interesting. So you're heading down there, and is that part of your tour, your 9/11 awareness tour?
Yeah, exactly. And I'll be in Dearborn, Michigan, which they say is going to be the first site of our first site of our no-go zone, meaning where Islam rules, which is frightening.
Wow, oh my goodness, so much. You'll have to come back and tell us about it.
I'd love to, Laura.
Thank you very much, but you can find Andy on bluecollarcorner.com. And we're so glad you joined us today. This has been Tea Time, New Jersey Tea Party Coalition's weekly public affairs program. And just take a look on the website under njtpartycoalition.org for more information about us. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.
I cannot believe that was 15 minutes. That was like 3 minutes. Is that all right?